just activated. Your weekly football fix kicks off now.
You can follow the LFC Total Red Football Podcast on X, Facebook, YouTube and TikTok.
Welcome to the Total Reds LFC podcast. We're not joined today by our regular host, Kings. He's got a bad back, probably how Dominic Szoboszlai has felt for most of the season, carrying this Liverpool team on his back as well. We'll go into a bit of Dominic Szoboszlai a little bit later, but we wish Kings all the very best. Matty is going to join us. He's currently stuck in traffic around Aintree. But, you know, Kev and I are here, and that's probably all you need anyway. And we'll obviously welcome Matty, and, you know, it's just nice to see Kev. So how are you, Kev?
I'm all good, mate. Good to be on, especially with yourself. It's been a while. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, it has been a while, I think, since we've done a bit of a podcast, and I think that's the way really of the LFC world. Not that obviously we only podcast in glory, but I think there's been so much going on, and you know, we were just catching up a little bit earlier, and life is so busy, whether or not the Reds are winning or losing. But yeah, not many people tune in when the Reds are losing. Everyone wants to see us winning, don't they? So yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
Oh, good. Oh, good. You know, weather's a little bit nicer for the last 2 days. Obviously, that's going to go the way the Reds are. 2 games in, and then it all goes capitulating. So no, it's fine. All good. Just glad to be on.
Yeah, same. I've just been down the coast as well for a couple of days, and the sunshine was glorious. I went for a nice run all along the beachfront about 7 o'clock this morning, and I was like, oh, I can't get much better. But then I thought, hang on, Liverpool play tonight. And suddenly I was crashed back down to earth with a bit of Liverpool and maybe a bit of cramp added in as well.
Stumbling over that bark tree that's stuck in the sand that's stumbled you over.
Yeah, that's exactly it, mate. Yeah, that's exactly it. Anyway, listen, we will get into a bit of PSG because we are obviously kicking off very, very soon. But I think really what we wanted to talk about, I suppose, is, you know, we haven't seen each other for a while. We wanted to talk about the past couple of weeks, and we wanted to talk about what it is that I suppose has been going on with Liverpool Football Club. And, you know, you are a regular Anfield visitor. You go all the time. What's changed? What's been different around the atmosphere itself? Not necessarily trying to unpick everything. I think every support can see, you know, the gaps in midfield, the defensive frailties, and, you know, the fact that maybe one of our, or 2-3 of our key strikers aren't finishing the chances that they probably would have done in the past few years or even early this season. What's the actual atmosphere around Anfield like?
It's a bit like the way we start games. It's very, very slow, very through gritted teeth. You're looking at it and hoping that the confidence can come back to the team. But, you know, we have a soft underbelly, and we always know that there's an individual error just around the corner. You know, we'd be happy if we're 2-0 up, but you're still looking and thinking, well, what are the odds on a draw? It's mad. I haven't seen it like this for quite some time, and it's hard to get behind a team in which you're not seeing much improvement. If we're evolving, then I expect at this time of year we should be seeing something close to what next season will look like. But at no point this season can I say where this team's going or what the formation is going to be or how we're playing is as improved, because it seems to be going backwards rather than forwards. So for me personally, it's very frustrating to watch at the minute. I don't know how that feels for yourself.
No, I mean, it's one of those that for me just feels like a lot of, okay, well, we start to improve, and we start to, I mean, the City game absolutely, completely defined our season for us. We played well for 30 minutes. Whether or not that's because City were poor and they were slow after the international period getting out of the starting blocks, not sure. But we actually played well. I thought Wirtz and Ekitike linked up well. I thought there was lots of running. And as soon as that penalty was awarded, which was rightly so, actually, to be fair, so clumsy from Virgil, a lot of people said just hang in there till half time. It's so strange because you just think the heads go, and it does. Like, the mentality monsters they are no more. They cease to exist. The mentality monsters, they're dead and buried, along with when Jurgen Klopp handed in his resignation, because it doesn't work anymore where, even as far as last season, I think we were behind in like 19 games and we came back to win. That doesn't happen anymore. Our heads drop and the tempo slows, and that's it. We seem to go 1-0 down and then that's it, game over. I mean, like I say, we'll talk about tonight, but with the attacking prowess that PSG have, God knows what's going to happen. Erling Haaland, he started the season on fire, but he hadn't. I think he only scored like one in his last 9 Premier League games. We made him look like the Erling Haaland of a few seasons ago at the start of the season, because he was on fire. And yeah, it's so slow to pick up in terms of when we concede a goal. It doesn't look like there's that fight and there's that comeback. No. And what's worrying for me, it sort of reminds me of 2021 with, injuries galore, and, when we were playing, was it 2021, I think, where we were playing
COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, Phillips and Williams at centre back. But the difference was, I saw still that same fight. I still saw the press. I still saw the running. What I've not seen all season, and especially from 27 now out of 31 games, is it, where we've been outran. At least with Jurgen, there was a system and a style of play. And it didn't matter who came through the ranks, whether it is a Reece Williams or whether it is a Nat Phillips at centre-back, everyone knew how they could play. I can't see it this year. And, even in the League Cup final against Chelsea that we won with the youngsters came through and played the exact same way that Liverpool play. Yeah. We've completely lost identity. We've completely lost everything associated with Liverpool Football Club this year. And it has been up now, I personally think, a whole year since the last time we played PSG in the Champions League.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it as well, think of the leaders that have left this club or are not around anymore. I don't think Virgil is a leader in the natural sense of what a Henderson or a Milner is. I think we've been playing him a little bit more than we need to, because he's the best defender that we've got. And it's hard not to, and at his age, he shouldn't be playing the amount of games he is. But we've left ourselves in that position, whether that's a hierarchy decision, a recruitment decision, whatever it is, it's not working. We've got an identity crisis that has been missing since, as you say, the Paris Saint-Germain game. If you look at our going into that game last season, we had a 74% win rate. Now it's only 50%, and you can see the difference in and a team that's spiraling. And without identity and without those leaders on the pitch, it's very hard to get yourselves out of it and motivated. Tonight is going to be, we are going to have to be disciplined, because we're going to have to be in this, it's survival as much as we can, because this is going to be painful. And I feel it could be painful tonight, but we'll get onto that. But what I've seen over the last few weeks is similar to what I've seen all season. I struggle to see what the fascination of playing players out of position when we've got players on, who are on the bench. So why aren't they playing in their own position? And let's be honest, every player has had parts of the season where errors and individual performances haven't reached the level that they were last season. We're relying on a six that isn't really a six, who's had a good year last season and is struggling to fight. That's why it looks as though to go back to back, and you hear ex-players say, you're seeing it with this team. It's very hard to motivate yourself when you're down and getting frustrated with how things are going. We've had a lot of movement. We haven't, if you think about it, we haven't even replaced the winger that's playing well, who played well last night against Real Madrid. What we did is we changed our old focal point to two strikers and a creative midfielder in a number 10 position that we haven't played for years. So it's very hard with what's going on at the club to see any way of it getting any better. And that's the frustrating thing, because we know how good we can be, but we very, very rarely see it at times. I don't know if you think the same, because it's just it's a struggle at the minute, and the manager isn't helping himself. His formation styles, he changes it 1 week to a 2-2-2, and you think, okay, this looks all right. We look compact, and then the next week we play again, and we're all over the place. There's no identity, there's no leadership in that midfield for the start, and the channels between these channels far too much room to get for anyone to get through, and it makes it easy to get onto our back four, which is struggling. Everyone has, you know what I mean. So it's mad for me. It's strange. It's been a while since I've seen a team as bad as this at the minute.
It's just for me the glaringly obvious thing, and hopefully everyone who's watching will agree with this or have at least seen it and thought about it, is it's just the space in midfield, you know. And again, you can point at what I've seen on, you know, Twitter and Instagram and everything, with everyone saying, you know, the Liverpool players aren't training as intensely enough. That's why we concede so many late goals. That's why after 60 minutes everyone's legs have gone. You know, you look at McAllister and, like you said, Gravenberch, who was Young Player of the Season last year, their legs have gone. Like, there's only Szoboszlai, I think, who's a natural athlete, which is why he can continue that press. But there's no press apart from him. Sometimes Hugo, sometimes Florian can do it. But there isn't a pressing system. There doesn't seem to be any legs past 60 minutes. And there's certainly not anyone who can now come in for Gravenberch, with Endo having his unfortunate injury. It's just, I don't know. I mean, if it's true about the training regimes where they're only really training for 60 minutes, where they're then going to go and have a coffee, and, you know, Arne Slot will then say have 2 weeks off in the week, 2 days off in the week, have 2 days off in the week while he goes back to Zwolle, and they can do whatever they want. Like, there is no wonder, again, you look a little bit deeper, if these things are true, and we're only speculating on what we can read. If these things are true, you can see why Salah is so discontented, and you can see why the legs have gone after 60 minutes, because you train how you play. That's why Jurgen Klopp had so many hamstring issues, because he was in training press. He trained how he played, and maybe to his detriment at times, where, you know, poor old Adam Lallana and, you know, Fabinho were picking up injuries left, right, and centre. You know, so I'd love to be a fly on the wall inside of Anfield, and certainly inside of Kirby Training Centre, because if that's the case, and if that's what's happening, then it's unforgivable, because, like I say, you're not going to play for 60 minutes if you only train for 60 minutes at that high intensity. Yeah. I'm sure they have several sessions in the day, but you need to be gunning it. You can't.
I know.
You know, you can't run a marathon and then go, wow, I've trained for 10 miles. Well, a marathon's 26. Same as a football game.
Exactly. You know, it can't be done. But we've seen that all over the pitch. We've changed a lot of things, and this training, if it's true. But this is what happens when the team is playing as badly as what it is. All these little things start coming out and leaking out of the club. The club is so fractured at the minute, from top to bottom, even to the fans. It's a worry. I think September was probably the time that we all wanted the season to be finished, because we knew what was going on. And it hasn't got any better. It hasn't got any. I don't see any improvements in any aspect of it. And when you need that energy, that spark, there's hardly anyone there to give you that spark, or the spark's being used that much that there's very little left to be used. It's disheartening to see the club that used to press, but I saw at the start of the season, it was a half-hearted press, and it's been a half-hearted press. Ezekite will go, and then he'll say, "Man, go, well, who's backing me up?" That was never the case. It was everyone full mantle, let's go. And if you haven't got that kind of energy, and you're allowing teams to play a ball, like, we're not even getting close to the second balls in certain games, which is the worrying and frustrating thing. Even when we play, you know, how many times have we played Palace? Look at the teams we played more than once this season, and we have lost every game. Matt Gay, for an example, has played 5 times and won 5 games.
Yeah.
How is that possible? And don't get me wrong, 1 or 2 of them I accept. League Cup possibly, because our ideas aren't levitated to a domestic cup. But surely to God, we should have enough in us to be able to beat a Palace either home or away in certain games. A Charity Shield game, which I deem as a testimonial. Again, though, we haven't. We don't learn our
Still
lessons.
a big occasion. Still at Wembley.
90,000
people there cheering for you. Like, still a big occasion.
Exactly, and we still can't find that way of Look at Galatasaray in the last round. Same pattern of play as we did when we went there earlier in the season, and we didn't even learn our lesson. It feels as though this manager is inept of changing or understanding this style of play. He talks about this game in a very good way, but actions speak louder than words, and I haven't seen any actions that match the kind of endeavour and the words that come out of his mouth at the minute. Because he's saying, "Well, I'll show you we can play against this Paris Saint-Germain team." Like, give me another chance, as though like City was like, oh, that's just a starter. Watch us, we'll change. I don't know how you can change that in the little short period that we've had, and get a team that actually got absolutely massacred and should have got more further behind, to turn that around against a very high motivated tactical team, an engine run precision as a Paris Saint-Germain. I just don't see we're not making any difference in anything that we do at the minute, and we're lucky if I'm surprised we got this far. But ironically, we're suited to a cup run than we are to a league challenge, or even getting in the top four.
Do you know what I was thinking earlier? Like, why is that? Why did that Galatasaray game happen, or why have we performed so well in the Champions League? I do think partly because Galatasaray are terrible away from home. They are terrible,
Yeah.
But I also think it's because the players pick up their game and think, and do you know what? It sounds really bad, but I'm like, I generally think they go, okay, we're just going to do what we want to do. And they ignore those, the noise around it, and they'll just run and run and run until they're exhausted. And it feels like they're doing it despite of Arne Slot, not because of him. Whereas when you had, and again, they're incomparable really, but when you had Jurgen, they're doing it because of him. They're doing it for him.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Champions League, and we'll see tonight, because PSG for me is still the best team in Europe. They are sensational. Their front three are what Arne Slot, I think, has tried to mould Liverpool on. That just the interchangeable, just the fluidity. We don't have those players who can do that. We don't have that Vitinha who can anchor in midfield. We don't have the Kvaratskhelia. I've been trying that as well all day. But we don't have those players who are interchangeable. You can't model something based off players that you don't have. And that's why Klopp's system worked so well. That's why Shankly's system, that's why Paisley's system all worked so well, because it was a system. And it was a system that was tried, tested. Everyone plays this way. The youth team play this way. The under-21s play this way. The under-18s. So that when they do come in, the Bobby Moores of the world, they do play in that way because they're used to it. And they can just slot in the Jadon Dans, who can just go on the edge of literally the last defender and smash 2 goals in against Southampton. Like, that's the system that we play. But when we chop and change and we don't train well, that is always what's going to happen. We're not going to talk too much more, but I'm just sick of seeing the same game over and over again.
The difference you've got and the comparison I'd say is that if you look at the Premier League, you have every team having this set piece approach this season. You don't see that style in the Champions League, and the style of and the format of the play within the Champions League game suits us to a degree. I agree with totally everything that you said. It's, however, I think it's going to be difficult when you've got a player returning from injury who hasn't really been part of the team and has only played a few minimal moments. We're expecting him to come off the bench and pick up where he scored against Spurs. We haven't got an Alisson because we've got injuries in certain positions. It's a team that, as I say, it wouldn't surprise me if we come away with something. I don't believe that myself personally, but it feels as though the leash is off and we can play how we want to play in the style of play. But yeah, I agree. There's not much. We can physically. There's no physicality in the Champions League, which is what I'm trying to get. You don't get the corners. The corners. The referees don't like what Arsenal and everyone else is doing in the Premiership, so it's negated straight away. So they don't have that pressure that's upon them on set pieces, and that allows the freedom of the back four, but we still have our problems because we still have our individual errors, and it's proven that all through this championship, the Champions League program.
Yeah. Not a single one of Liverpool's previous 36 competitive games against French teams has finished 0-0. So I'm pretty sure there's very little chance of a drab 0-0 tonight as well, especially at the Parc des Princes. So things could get messy for the Reds, especially if we are going off the back of that Man City game where, let's be honest, Man City have not been at full pomp either this season. I think PSG will be. They managed to obviously rest as well. They're going to rest again because the Lens game got moved. And, you know, in fact, do you know what? Fair play to the French FA because they're looking after and protecting their teams. Yes, it's a pain. I get it. And yes, we can be skeptical over the fact that, okay, it is Lens or PSG, isn't it, going for the league, I think. And it does probably impact Lens the most. But at the end of the day, the French FA saying, no, we want to go back to back, and PSG are our best chances of doing that. What do you feel? What do you feel about, I suppose, you know, what's happened, what's going to happen in terms of PSG getting extra rest? Do you think for Liverpool, I remember Klopp said, actually, we don't want rest. We want to keep playing. But do you think that's different for PSG?
I'll be honest. I look, if your FA is backing you like they are doing with PSG, then I have no qualms with it. But what I do have a qualm is then it should be offered. Both teams should be able to have that, and if both teams can't do it, then the answer should be no. That's me personally. However, it's happened, and there's nothing we can do about it. But we've seen what happens when you have too much rest. You know, look at the times when we've played Palace or something like that after about 10 days off. Look at the Brighton game. You know what I mean? We look we look as though we're not even ready or game match fit. Different with their league. They don't have as much physicality as what we do. It would be great if the teams in Europe could have that, but I don't know how you get those games back in a structure that allows you to see that, especially when you see the coefficients now and how many we've got in the European cups. So it's very difficult how you be able to do that with the Premier League because the league's that strong. It's easier with weaker leagues such as the French league. It's Lens this year. Who's it going to be next year? Is it going to be Marseille? Is it going to be someone else? So it's always different, and they'll always back the best team because the only reason that anyone watches La Ligue on is because of PSG. And it's the same problem that you have in La Liga or have had in La Liga when Barcelona and it was Real Madrid. Some people would prefer Atletico. That may have changed a little bit now because Messi's no longer there and Ronaldo's not there. So, you know, it depends what your league's doing. All down. I don't have any qualms because there should be no excuses from PSG in what they on how they turn up. And if they get beat, they're being beaten fairly. They've had the rest. We haven't. I think it could help us and benefit us going in after a 3-0 defeat and getting to people who have not yet up to Champions League kind of speed. But I don't think it'll take long for PSG to get back to the energy levels that they actually produce. So I'm going to sit on the fence with what I've just said and not answer your question.
Well, no, it's fine because you just never know, especially with this Liverpool team. Like I said, they could just pull it out of the bag like they did last season with that Harvey Elliott-inspired goal, you know, and we were proper under the cosh. And that was such a good performance. And then obviously we went out on penalties, but you just don't know. I mean, what I would say is, and what really worries me, my brother is an Everton fan, and actually so is most of my family. You wouldn't know from my voice, but we are actually all from Liverpool. I don't have the lovely tones that you do because we moved down south when I was younger. But so yeah, I said to my brother actually because he's got a season ticket at Everton, and he was like, oh, I don't know, it's 12:30 kickoff Liverpool. I was like, go because you're going to beat us. And like, you know, how many years in the past decade have we said that? You know, I'm like, Everton are going to beat us. And he said, how do you know? I said, you just have to run. That's all you have to do. All you have to do is run. And if you run at us and close us down, you'll beat us because we won't run after you.
True. To a point, but I think their pitch is too big for them. I think it's too big and too vast. I think we have players that can hit them a little bit more than what they can. I'll never accept or will say that there's an opportunity for them to win. It's an opportunity for them to gain a point. It should be 3 points for us, and I don't care
All day, always.
always. But the difference is, this is not Goodison. This is not under the lights. This is not the closed, enclosed pitch that you have and everyone on top of you. Granted, they've got a new stadium, but I think that pitch is far too big and far too vast, and it's been proven in games this season. Brentford being one in which the game it's taken away from them. I think, apart from Ndai, I don't see any issue that any problems that they can cause us. Maybe from set pieces, but they have two strikers that I wouldn't take any day of the week. I'd rather play an under eight striker than actually the two strikers they've got. There's a weakness in their side, and that is Tarkowski at the back. And if Keane plays, happy days. They've got a decent goalkeeper, but he's susceptible to errors. So I always fancy our chances, regardless of how bad we're playing. It's funny with Everton fans because, last 4 years you can't get a word out of them. This season, can't shut them up.
Nah. Well, it's the way it is, isn't it? So it's always the way. It's always. Talk about tonight then. Let's have a little bit of a look, because we've got about 10-15 minutes left, and it would be a miss, I suppose. And I know a lot of people will be watching this on a replay, which is why we try not to do like a pre-match show, because you don't want to skip over this bit. But this is more about opinion, not necessarily about what's going to happen. Mo Salah is obviously dropped tonight. Frimpong and Gomez are on the right hand side, it would look like. Is that a good call from Slot? I mean, I personally don't mind it, because I think if you're going on that right hand side where you've got Nuno Mendes, Kvara Kvaratskhelia, and maybe João Neves, I suppose, attacking that right hand side, you probably want a more defensive minded Frimpong and Joe Gomez. And Frimpong can still sting you on the counter, but do you think, knowing everything, we know Salah's leaving, we know the relationship really that he's had with Slot, we know he's not firing on all cylinders, absolutely rightly to be hooked against Manchester City, is it the right thing for him to be on the bench tonight?
It's sad in a way that it's come the way it has, but if you're looking at form, he's not in form whatsoever. And look at the chance he had against City in the first half. That went up for a throw-in, basically. And
Kushinov, it was a really good tackle, but he should have never been allowed to make that tackle.
No, he shouldn't. And Salah 2 years ago, that's in the back of the net. Yeah. He's not reached the standards. Now, whether that's down to the manager, whether it's down to the formation, whether it's being asked to do something that he doesn't like, Mo will throw his toys out the pram. But this should have happened at the start of the season, and it shouldn't have been allowed to ligate as much as what it has. I think we've gone for a compact midfield. If you look at that, you're looking at basically five at midfield with Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai and Frimpong, and you're open for hopefully getting the ball over the top and hopefully getting Ekitike away. That's the way I see it. We're compact, composed, and we are going to be under the cosh a lot in this game. So counter-attacking is the way we go. Whether that changes in the second half and you then take Gomez off, put Frimpong to right back, and then you bring Salah on, and then at what point do you bring Isak on, and do you go with Isak and Ekitike up front, or do you change it around? It's the conundrum that we've got. The only difference I'm more worried about is the goalkeeper. If we had Alisson in this game, I'd be a little bit more confident that we could come away with at least something. But Marmus really hasn't given me much confidence in the way he's played and the goals he's conceded. And of the 10 games we've lost, he's been in goal for the majority of those games.
Yeah, I mean, talk about Mama. Do you know what? I actually don't mind him. I think he'll be a very good shot stopper. I think he'll be very good in a couple of years' time. He perhaps should have done better in that third goal with the chip, Semenyo chip that went over him. I think he is a good shot stopper. The only issue, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just a preference thing, but it feels like people are not passing it back to his left foot because they're used to Alisson.
Yeah.
And he's left-footed. Like, for me, it feels like people now have to get used to having a left-footed goalkeeper and passing it back to his stronger foot, because anyone who's ever played the game, if you pass it back to your weaker foot, no matter how good you are, unless you're Lionel Messi, it's
You know,
weaker.
yeah,
Yeah, it's absolutely weaker. And you can, do you know what? One of my friends used to practice with his left foot by smashing the ball on his driveway against his garage, just smashing it over and over and
yeah.
over again. He'll do it 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 times. And he'll do it once with his right foot and make a dent in it. And,
Yeah.
and that's just the way that it is. That's the way that football is. You generally have a stronger side. So maybe he's not getting, maybe. I mean, I'm trying to be nice to him because I do think there's potential there.
No,
But he's not Alisson.
no, he's not, and that's the problem you've got, is that the level that we go from Alisson to Mamashvili is very, very big. But then you look at the drop that Paris Saint-Germain have got from Donnarumma to Safonau's.
Stefanov, yeah.
I don't get me wrong. He's produced some really good shot stopping, but he's not a Donnarumma. He's not a big frame goalkeeper, and that was one of the reasons why they won the Champions League last season, because of the staves and the size of it and the frame of him. I think they're susceptible at the back with that goalkeeper in there, but it comes down to it. We need to get shots off, and we need to be able to get. We need to stop playing pretty and trying to score an Arsenal goal, and just start hitting it from outside the box, and hoping that Etikite can get on the end of a few loose ones that come back off the goalkeeper. That's where we need what we need to be doing. We don't see enough of that, I don't think.
And do you know what as well? Like, I thought that about City. That goal that Florian Wirtz scored for Germany was absolutely sensational.
Yeah.
On literally the corner spot, the 90-degree angle of the box. I'm like, why the hell is he not doing that for us? Why is he not shooting from distance? Or when it does come to him, why is he passing it into the goalkeeper? Like, just
I know.
at rocket. Like,
Exactly.
you got Dom, you've got Alexis, you've got Ekatike. All of them can shoot from range. So just have a go. Like, if you've got one step, roll the ball, one step, shoot. I genuinely think if you're within that, I don't know, 25-yard radius, just have a go tonight, because you can't pass. You do, because you can't. I mean, Marquinhos is very good. So is Hakimi. So is Pacho. So is Mendes. Like, you're not going to be able to pass it around them too often. You might get one or two, but you can't pass around it too often. Now, I listened to TalkSport on the way to the gym at like 6 a.m, and they had Tony Cascarino on, who's a massive Liverpool fan actually, and he said he's sick of seeing the flicks and the tricks from the Wirtz and the Ekatikes. Just shoot. And I was like, yeah, that resonates with me. Have a go, because we've seen Wirtz bang them. We've seen Ekatike. God knows that we've seen Dominic Szoboszlai absolutely rocket them into the back of the net and break the strings. I don't get the pretty football that you're referring to, because why are we playing that? We don't have the Suarez and the Coutinho and those tiki-taka players. We've got lads who can absolutely belt rockets and launch them into space and send them around the moon like Nasser have just done. So why aren't we doing it?
Yeah, I know. And it then puts a question to the centre half: are you going to shoot, or are you going to? And then it gets them out of position. By doing that, it then releases other players. Then that's when you play the tiki-taka football. It's as though we're playing schoolboy. It's too much schoolboy. It's as though I can see what's going to happen and tactically while we should be playing, but the manager doesn't seem to be able to pick it up or grasp it for some reason. It's mad. It's strange. But, as you quite rightly say, you've got players who can actually bang a ball. And we haven't seen that enough this season. And it takes for the free kick to be done before you see Slobosai do it. He's done it in a few games since. But, it builds confidence, and it puts pressure on them, thinking, well, are they going to shoot this time? And then it gets them out of the disciplined positions that they're taking up. And it frees the likes of a Fates then, and that's when he's able to get in, hopefully, do the business. But what do I know? What do you know, Rich?
Well, the thing, this is always it, isn't it? What do we know? Like, it's easy to sit here behind a computer
exactly.
and a webcam, but I'd love to have a go, mind you. But yeah. But like, you know what? I didn't even mind that shot the other day that McAllister had against Man City. That ended up like just flipping over, I suppose, crossbar. But I was like, well, at least he's come on and he's had a go. Like, because you look at some players and just think, do you want to score, or do you want to score the best goal in the world when you're 4-0 down? Like, that doesn't matter. Like,
It,
put your
it,
laces through it. We've seen Stevie do it. We've seen Chabby do it. We've seen so many people over the years. We've seen Kenny and Rushy and Fowler and everyone do it. Like, put your laces
but
through it. Make the goalkeeper do something, because even if
yeah,
he saves it, it might come back out to someone.
it comes down to XG though, isn't it? And the chances and the
Oh,
probability of you
nonsense.
scoring from there. So it comes down to the stats, and that's the reason why that a lot of these players aren't taking the opportunities that they do. They may be free and be able to do that at national level, but at us, it's all with data driven. So percentage wise, there's more likelihood of you missing it than actually scoring from where you're hitting it from. And that's the frustrating you get. Especially when you hear shoot all the time, but half the time it's four players around you and they're trying to
Yeah,
have
for
someone to shoot.
Gomez. I'd love to know. Do you know what? I'd love to know what Stevie Gerrard's XG was in the FA Cup final against West Ham when he struck that ball to make it 3-3, because
Oh
that
yeah,
would have been a 0.001 of a chance for
one,
that to go in the
yeah,
back of the net.
exactly, absolutely. But there's times in a game where you've just got to hit it and just hope that something happens, and that's all that was. He was too tired to carry it on, and he just
Yeah.
hit one, and
Yeah, he said he had cramp, didn't he? He just thought, I'm just
yeah.
going to hit it.
But that sometimes that's what needs to happen. We need people. We don't have enough leadership on the team, and we're doing everything because we've been told to do it. And it's easy to do what's told. I'll be honest. There's times when I used to play football, not at a very good level, but the manager would tell me one thing and I'll do something else because the game's changed in while I'm playing. And what he's asking me to do isn't possible, so I change it up a bit, and that's what you need to do. There's not enough leadership or enough people to be confident. We lack confidence in certain games. This is not a game to be lacking confidence in, especially going in with a 3-0. They'll probably think that they're probably licking their lips and just thinking, all right, we don't have to do much tonight. And I hope that kind of mentality is sticking with them, and we go out and force it the other way.
Yeah, I think I saw a quote from Christophe Dugarry, who was basically saying, like, listen, Man City are not even, like I said earlier, Man City aren't even firing all cylinders, and PSG are. Like, Liverpool are going to end up in 7 and 8 tonight. I really hope it doesn't, but we'll see. When again, I don't want to touch on it too much because it is a little bit of a delicate subject, but at the same time, I think it's something that we need to address and everyone has an opinion of. So when the Liverpool fans were leaving at 58 minutes, which is unheard of, away at City, don't blame them at all. We saw obviously Dom Szoboszlai, like, showing his anger and frustration at the Liverpool fans at full time. People were chanting for Alonso, much like people were chanting when Roy Hodgson's days were coming to an end. Hodgson for England, the very famous chant, and he actually did then go on to manage England. Is there anybody out there for you who, because the rumour mill is swirling, if Arne Slot either loses tonight, next week, the week after that, goes out of the Champions League, gets no silverware this season, doesn't reach that top 5, is there a manager out there right now that you think actually is worth risking a Premier League manager in Arne Slot going for someone else coming in for next year?
There's only one for me personally, and that's Luis
It's probably going to
Enrique.
be the same as me. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one that would fit the club perfectly. Is the way his style of football, how he gets his teams to play. I've always been impressed when he was at Barcelona, how the style of football that he has, and how he would fit right in with this club, a bit like Jurgen Klopp did. I get the noise around Alonso. And I completely get it. I understand that he's worked with Frimpong and Vert, and he'll probably play a formation that actually suits them a little bit better, and it suits this team that has actually developed and evolved from a 4-3-3, because we've moved away from the formation style and buying players who can play that. We've bought, and we're out of balance at the minute, and I can see that. But for me, if anyone's asking me, I've always said it's Luis Enrique. I've been saying it for months, weeks. You know what I mean? He's perfect. He's perfect for this team, and you've seen what he's doing with Barcelona, with Paris Saint-Germain. He could recreate that at Liverpool with the players he's got, and he'd be able to do it and provide that the one thing that we've got is someone who can tactically change things up to suit the style. Look at what he got, the lambastment off PSG for getting rid of the likes of Mbappe and Messi. Now look at what this team's doing and how he's changed and evolved that. Similar to what he was doing at Barcelona at the time. He's perfect. I don't know. I don't know what tell me why you think he's the one for you.
For me, like, I think I'm on the fence with Alonso because I do think it would still be a system change. Now, it might not. Alonso's success came from that five at the back with the two wing backs, and yes, Frimpong was one of them. And yes, you can drop Gravenberch back into that back three if you needed to, if the two wing backs go forward with Kerkez and Frimpong. But it will be a system change, and it's not a 4-3-3. And I do think Liverpool they are an attacking team on a 4-3-3. Listen, do I think Alonso will do better than Slot this season? Yes. Do I think he's the man necessarily to do a Jurgen Klopp? I'm still jury out. With Luis Enrique, he's got heart, and he understands what and again, I don't want to disparage Alonso. I don't want to discredit him, but Enrique he's tried, he's tested, and he's proven. And I'd absolutely break the bank. He's the first person I'll be banging on the door since he ever said he was going to leave PSG and say, listen, you can name your price. You have carte blanche for what it takes to come to Liverpool because of his system. Because we do play maybe last season and the seasons before, we do play quite a familiar style to what he likes. I don't think there'll be too much transition. I think he is an inspiration. I think his heart on his sleeve, which is what Liverpool die for. I don't think he can have a reserve manager. I think the players play for him. And for me, it's that heart and soul that Shankly, that Paisley, that Jurgen had. And that's what is Liverpool Football Club. For me, it's always heart, soul, and it's passion. And that's what Luis Enrique has. Now, I sort of get, well, you can't always have someone shouting on the touchlines, right. No, you can't. But for me, Enrique encapsulates everything that a football manager, for me personally, should be. That's someone who can change the system. That's someone who isn't afraid to make big calls, like you said, getting rid of massive superstars like Kylian Mbappe and Lionel Messi. He's not afraid to bring in the youth like Barcola, like Doué, like we've seen with Rio, who in the whole wide world right now, apart from Jurgen, apart from Sir Alex, who do you want to bring your youth through? It's probably going to be Luis Enrique. And we do have quite a lot of youth banging on the door. You've seen Rio, yes, and I'm fine with Rio getting minutes as and when for now because we're not playing well. And the last thing you want to do is the on the boys where he just throws his son off the roof and goes, off you go, and he just falls bosh dead. Like, I get that because we're not playing very well, and that's what would happen to Rio. Right, you go and start then and see what happens. Bosh, because the whole team isn't playing well. But you bring those players in as and when, and that's what Enrique has done. He's made that PSG team look like bona fide superstars when actually they never got the job done before with bigger superstars, with the Mbappes and with the Messis. I just think he gets football, and we would have a limited time with him. We generally would. I can't see him if he came to us. I don't know. I don't see him lasting 5 or 6 years because, again, like Jurgen, he's a project manager, isn't he? He'll come in, he'll turn a project, he'll absolutely glorify it, gloss it, and gold it, and then he's going on to the next one. And I'm fine with that because then that gives us a little bit of time to think, okay, well, who's the next person coming through? I don't mind the Alonso shout. I do think it's risky if there's going to be a change of system. I completely agree with you. As soon as Enrique said that he was leaving PSG, I think ears should have been pricked, regardless of, how well this season did. But when you saw in December how well the season was going, they should be going, just so you know. And then when February came, more so knocking on the door. And then now, especially, they should be fucking going in with the police batons and the fucking rockets shooting up that door.
The way I see it is, it's just similar to what we are going to lose with when Mo Salah goes. When Mo goes, you have to bring someone in blockbuster as big. a big enough profile to do that. And that for me is a league say. You have to go out and get these players. We won the league and the European Cup by bringing in an Alisson and Van Dijk and utilising the money and spending big. Spending big is the way to go. And the way I see it is I want the best. We're sitting at the table now. We need a manager that can take us. I always thought Slot was always going to be a stepping stone to someone else. Now, if that is Luis Enrique, I'll be made up, and I can see that. I can also see people saying Alonso, but I don't want Alonso and Gerrard because I feel that would end up like a Julian Evans in the fact that Gerrard will then get bigger and will, people will then start crying for his name.
And they've got too many egos.
Exactly. And unless that's sorted out and concise as to what your role and what I want from you, then it's hard for that to work. But for me personally, I'd rather have an Enrique to set a style and a template for this team moving forward that then allows someone to come in, not of Enrique's level, with the clear run, with a clear mindset and a clear template on how to play.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to see what Enrique's style and template is like in 11 minutes. And I can't say I'm looking forward to it, if I'm honest.
I've got everything set up behind my couch, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Along with the crates behind your couch. So yeah, the crate of beers.
Oh God, yeah. That there for moral support then.
Just in case, just in case. As always, Kev, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll get off now because we've got 10 minutes till kick off. I need to, get behind the couch. I need to reposition my living room and go from there. But listen, we. As we said, and alluded to earlier, we could be very pleasantly surprised because I do think that this Liverpool team is still a good team. You've still got and this is the frustration. Like we're not talking about when Klopp first took over against Tottenham Hotspur. We're not talking about that starting 11. We're talking about a really good starting 11, and that's the frustration. Exactly. Like I genuinely think Wirtz is one of the best midfielders in the world. Ekitike is one of the best forwards in the world. Van Dijk is still one of the best defenders, but they're still not producing. And for me, it just doesn't have that many great signs that these players who are world class are still not producing, and that for me is that that's the red light.
It is,
so we don't know. I mean, hit him on the counter, see what we can do. We'll catch up next week and reassess. But as always, buddy, it's been an absolute pleasure.
And you, mate. Always good to be on with you.
Matty's still stuck at Aintree or something like that. So it might be a blessing in disguise. You never know.
Hey, you never know. You might be a jockey at the Grand National if he stays there long enough. So,
I would not be backing him.
I wouldn't either, but
Oh well, sorry, Matty, if you're listening. No. Well, listen. I hope I might back you if the odds are 500 to 1 and you can pull it out. But
and you're the only one running, and there's no fence.
That's it. Yeah, if you can guarantee you can stay on. Right. Well, thank you very much, buddy. We'll catch up again next week. But thank you everyone for watching, for listening, for watching this on repeat. Hopefully, we'll eat our words and we'll come away with an absolute demolishing of PSG. But we'll see. Right. Cheers, buddy. Thank you as always. Lovely to be on with you, and take care.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time for more LFC Total Red Football Podcast.